Well, how do you do, fellow Grimdark enjoyers? Today I'm doing some odds and ends. Mostly rimming some bases, finishing a few nameplates, and repairing a chainsword. Might paint up a twin last cannon. Nothing too crazy. But it must be done. It must be done. I see your Francois salute. And salute to you as well, Francois. Time Guy, welcome to the stream. Full day stream round 2, let's go. We'll see. Not likely. Not likely. Okay. Let's start by let's start with the rims. The rims. I'm just gonna apply some primer. Excuse me. I'm just going to start by applying some black primer to the bases here. Nameplates as well. So how's it going, Time Guy? How's it going? What's on your hobby desk? And it's just that easy. And I was tempted to I was tempted to put the word rim job in the title of this stream, but I figured the YouTube gods would not approve. They would not approve such a sophisticated sense of humor. Avery Barrel, what's up? What is up? Welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining and sharing in the hobby camaraderie. What's on your hobby desk? Is anyone else out there doing odds and ends as well? Time Guy asks, how long have you been painting? I've been painting on and off throughout the editions. More so since 8th. That's when I started getting back into playing. But I was painting Tyranids for a time before that, and Space Marines even earlier. But I wouldn't really count the Space Marines. It was very, very fleeting. this rim here looks kind of terrible. Hopefully, once we put some Steel Legion, it'll clear up. I don't know if it was just from too much handling, but the aerosol primer really kind of gummed up. Witness, how's it going? Eric Brandenburg, what's up? Good to see the usual hobby crew filtering in. Gotta keep that morale high after all. Witness says, what plans do you have for rules on the unit of company heroes? You going to use them as is, or is this going to be a Sunday video on reworking the unit's rules? Well, to answer your question, I built them to use them as is. However, there is definitely room for reworking the company heroes. Really, like the Chosen, company veterans or company heroes should have their pick of the litter as far as war gear goes, right? Any character of prestige, really. But I think that luxury and war gear choice does apply to Chosen and veterans alike, especially when they're not typecasted in the way Sternguard are the shooting type and Vanguard veterans are the shooting type. If you're a company veteran, you should have freedom in the same manner as Chosen, or as Chosen used to. On the house ruling or home brewing side of command squads, I was tempted to do a Sunday dedicated video to home brewing. A Chaos command squad, because I noticed the Artel Night Lord's characters actually fit into a pretty decent analog of a command squad, and I thought it could be kind of fun. I think, bad guys can have command squads too. You know, I don't see why not. Avery says he's finishing up his orcs. Nice! Orcs. I want to, the plan is, after this weekend, the plan is to shift gears to Kill Team. I want to paint up my commandos, and I have a few conversions, or I have a project or two in mind for them. At least a few modifications. Some creative modifications. You know, while those rims dry, I had a break on my tactical sergeant here. How sad. His chainsword broke, so we're gonna glue that back on. Big, sad, but that's what happens when you use your models. They break sometimes. He has suffered a mortal wound. I think that position is correct. Let's see. Looks okay. Yeah, looks like he's holding it, right? Got a short-handled chain blade. Some sort of unique Firekeepers variant, surely. A witness says, I got to fix my resin printer for the Crimson Lords bits that just came out. Oh, wow. Witness says, yeah, the company vets are the elite vets who are advisors and honor guard. I just finished customizing my command squad with the Greytide Studio bits. It's really nice because my chapter is a mix between Black Templars and Blood Angels. So having Grey Tide do both collections is really nice. Hey, sounds like it worked out well for you. I'm not exactly familiar on the bit specifically, but I can certainly appreciate when a project comes together with just the right parts. Is there a better feeling from a hobby side? Like, I've made a similar comparison with just like holding on to random bits, and they come together for a conversion or kit bash down the line, and it's just ultra satisfying. Okay, so that primer's taking a bit to dry still, so maybe we'll start in on this twin lascannon. This is the front piece. This is the front piece for the Astraeus, and actually, upon further examination, I can see the aerosol priming had some missed spots, it seems. So maybe we should fix that. Yeah, I put the heavy bolter. Everything's magged on the Astraeus, but I put the twin heavy bolter up front because I thought it was, for one, cooler and a little bit cheaper for an expensive unit. But, you know, now in 10th edition, you don't pay for war gear. So if you don't take the most potent thing, you're basically shorting yourself, which is just great. Just great. Do I have some sort of magnetique device that would make this easier to hold? I wonder. Even like a jury rig like this might make things easier. Look at this. Innovating on the fly. Just nothing can stop me now. Matt Gaming says, hi, how's it going? Welcome, Matt Gaming, to the stream. Thanks for joining. Thanks for sharing in the hobby camaraderie. Where this is the live stream show where we collectively grind that hobby life. How's it going? Pretty well. Just finishing off some Firekeepers, bits and bops. Mostly rimming bases and probably finishing off a few nameplates for today. But while that stuff dries, I'm just working on a twin lascannon here. Well, we can start in on the rims themselves, even though the nameplates aren't ready, which is fine. I'm just gonna bust out some Steel Legion here. Matt Gaming says, I'm painting a kit-bashed honor guard. Painting a kit-bashed honor guard. Very Necrony, I know. Damn, that's 3 people in the stream doing honor guard. That's quite the coincidence, actually. I wouldn't have bet on that taking place, that's for sure. I'm always paranoid that I have surprise paint on my fingers, and then I go and hold the model and just ruin it. Just give it a big old thumbprint. That is quite the concern. It might be PTSD from green stuff sculpting, where more often than I'd like to admit, I would just smush something I painstakingly sculpted. Okay, that's gonna need 2 coats for sure. But that's okay. That's why we're streaming. Eric Brandenburg says, oh, let me go in sequence here. Witness says, where did you get those shoulder pad bits for the company champion? Firstly, Witness, that is a chapter champion, I'll have you know. Okay? Put some respect on his name. But the shoulder pads are from Tartaros Terminators. That is where the pads are from. Okay. Chapter Ancient is good. Let's move on to these Honor Guard guys. Uh-oh. Felt something break just now. Some accessory came loose. Oh, it's his it's his holster. the same bit keeps falling off. Okay, but you know what? Once we're done painting the model's base, surely he'll be less prone to breaking, right? I won't be manhandling him anymore. Eric Brandenburg says, add with the 40k, I made a new friend, and he's getting into the hobby. Death Guard. I recommended your stream. Ah, that is very kind of you, Eric Brandenburg. I appreciate the share, like, genuinely. Very cool. Yeah, I welcome all Death Guard enjoyers. Death Guard guys are alright. Actually, Death Guard's a great pick for someone getting into the hobby. Very forgiving to the painting, as it were. Okay, those last three veterans need a bit more. Even their bases are still a little damp. So let's take a look at our twin Laz here. I can probably do the metallics. That should be safe. This won't be too fancy, guys. It's gonna be a pretty basic paint job on this weapon front. We could probably use this. Francois, yo, welcome. Welcome. I will have you know, Francois, I saw your salute at the opening of the stream and I acknowledged it. It did not go unnoticed. Witness says, oh my bad, I did not know it was the chapter champion. I am just hamming it up, Witness. I wasn't serious, FYI. Just so we're clear, just having a little fun with the company in chat. I can probably use a more worn out brush for this. I don't think I need high accuracy here. Just want to hit the metallic areas, and then we'll clean up any overspill. I'm going to put a wash all over it too, so it should be fairly sufficient at hiding any overspill. Shouldn't be too bad. And I figure on an Astraeus, like, who's going to look at the last cannon up front? You're going to look at the big macro cannons at the back, you know? No one will really examine this sort of detail so closely. Tartar on toast Terminators. Yeah. I honestly couldn't tell you guys why I had spare shoulders. I don't think it comes with extra. Somehow or another, I had the makings of one Tartarus Terminator. Must have been leftovers from someone else's project that I inherited, perhaps, or was gifted, but... Because I don't own a squad of those guys myself. Like, where did they come from? But that's a good example of, you know, keeping bits around and then they come together for a cool project. Alright, we'll give that time to dry and we'll probably put a wash over it. Look, things are progressing. It looks like he's now ready. Witness says, what is this chapter champion's name? Is there a story behind this respected figure? His name is, let me read it so I can make sure I'm saying it right. Yeah, his name will be Araki Borusu. All of the names for on these nameplates were anagrams, or maybe that's not the right word. They're maybe just derivatives of various Monster Hunter monsters, which I thought was a neat homage. Does he have a... There's a part 2 to that question, right? Is there a story behind him? Not quite. The story is that he's a pretty cool guy, pretty awesome, very venerable, and has done many noteworthy hunting missions. That's about as far as I thought about it. It just felt like a fun, creative opportunity to build out the command, the high command of the chapter. You know, I feel like with successor chapters, you really have those creative affordances at your disposal, more so than if you're doing, like, Second Company Ultramarines, for example, where it's like, well, those figures may or may not already be defined. Iraqi Boris sounds like an unpleasant guy. Yeah, he's a pretty mean dude, I'd say. I'd wager he's a strict commander who has then ascended to the rank of chapter champion. Witness says, lol, I forget, but do you have a chapter master model? I remember seeing your Leviathan first company captain with hammer and shield. To answer your question, yes, I do have a chapter master model. He is not on the hobby desk. I took the Firekeepers up for a spin yesterday at my friendly local gaming store, and I only unpacked like what we're doing today. So, you know, just the basing stuff. The guys who need their rims done. As for my first company captain, well, I appreciate that you remember him. He doesn't have a nameplate, but I think he turned out really well. Especially with that cape. That white flame pattern. That was an idea that only came into the Firekeeper's, like, conception when I was painting him, and then I've kind of carried it forth on some of these guys. Like, you can see the Chapter Ancient here has that on his sash. I kind of dig the black robes with the white flames. I think a few others have it too, like these guys. Definitely helps separate them out a little bit more than the parent chapter. Let's do a thumb test. All right, seems like we're Nuln Oil ready. Friendly Neighborhood Inquisitor, how's it going today? Right back at you. Right back at you, Friendly Neighborhood Inquisitor. Thanks for tuning in. We're just working on some odds and ends of the command squad. And a heavy, well, not a heavy, a twin last cannon while things dry. Which I'm just going to glob up with some Nuln Oil. I really don't think for this sort of detail you have to worry about going too heavy. Just kind of quick and dirty, you know? I think it should suffice. We'll just give this a good old rub. Really work it in there, you know? Oh, you know what? I actually wouldn't mind those tips being metal. Let's back it up a sec. Let's back it up a step. Francois says Terminator Captain Whoop-Ass Williams. Is that a name you're offering for consideration? I'll take it under consideration. Okay, we're gonna have to break that surface tension here. Yeah, I think this choice to break up the material, or the turret end here, will go a long way. Small detail, but I think it'll be well worth it. Matt Gaming says my only good brush has fallen. Oh, big sad. Pour one out for Matt Gaming. The end of a good brush is a terrible thing. So I've been claiming on these streams that my Silver Series #1 is kind of on its way out, and it looks like this, right? Not terrible, but it's definitely, I can tell it's lost its luster. Here's a really old Silver Series one. And it just makes me sad looking at this. Like, oh my god. It's kind of depressing. Maybe I'm just too too sentimental about my brushes. But when I look at that brush, I'm like, oh no, it's dying. There's nothing left. It's lost its soul. Okay, while we wait for those barrel tips to dry, I'll circle back to some more Steel Legion. This is the last guy who... This is the last of our first passes of Steel Legion. Francois says Whoopass Williams is a serious dick. His chin is large and his neck was thick. Well. Well, Francois. You got me to read it. You got me to read it. Look, 2 coats does the trick. Okay, nice. Whoopass Williams is a human from Vulcan's tribes. And he knows far better than to believe chaos lies. Wow. Wow! Well, you have a very particular skill there, Francois. A very particular set of skills. Alright, the heavy bolter honor guard guy has, he needs a bit more time to dry. So, just get some null on the front of these barrel tips, and then get onto our gold nameplates. And hopefully the recipe I have in mind is what I used for the older ones. Will this work? No. I think that's just gonna lead to disaster. Okay, let's see. Let's see if the Retributor armor goes the distance. Really scraping the bottom of the barrel here. Literally. So I believe the recipe was Retributor armor, and then a teal wash, the Coelia green shade. Coelia green shade. Then I think there was a wash behind the text of like a dirty wash, like an Agrax Earthshade, and then just dry brush. Just to help with readability. That should do for the base coat. I don't think it needs more layers. Should be sufficient. So let's review. I guess it's, it's not as even as I would like. Yes, some of our other Honor Guard members will need a third pass, unfortunately. I see Francois has shared the third part to his epic. I don't believe there was any interesting Sunday preview stuff on the Warhammer community site. I think it was all business as usual, right? No surprise announcements. Let me take a look-see. Oh, Fugan, right. Forgot that. Forgot Fugan was revealed after his leak. Yeah, Fugan looks pretty alright. I'm less enthused. I like his banner a lot, okay? I'll say that. That banner is très magnifique. It's really nice. It's beautiful. But I'm less enthused by the prospect because I already have my Artel Fugan. It's got a nice base. Standing on some interesting Eldar architecture. You know, when I get my Artel Jane Czar, and I paint her up, I'm definitely going to do a post, maybe even a short or something, like a who wore it better, because I think it's an interesting comparison. And then we can do the same with the rest of the Phoenix Lords, really. Though I don't feel like doubling the paint jobs if I don't have to. Francois says not happy with Fugan's helmet. Let me take a closer look. What about it rubs you the wrong way, Francois? Matt Gaming says hold on. Alright, where was I? Matt Gaming says my friend came up with the brilliant idea of dipping his Warhammer in his paint pot to base coat it. Lo and behold, it didn't work, and he now has a blob marine. Oh no. No! What a waste. Yeah, his Death Guard are certainly in the muck. Hopefully it's just one model. I believe it was Army Painter that had that dipping product where it's just like a larger mouthed container for a wash type project where you would just dunk your miniature in there. It might work with, even with contrast, it's too thick. You'd have to really thin it down, and then I think that might mess up the formulation of it. Okay, so the nameplates should be dry-ish. Maybe I'll give it a few more minutes. This looks ready, though. Look, it's basically ready to go as is, right? It doesn't need cleanup, but I'll do it. I'll do it because it's right. It's the right thing to do. You must live virtuously. Do the right thing, I always say. Oh god. Do the right thing and then make a mistake along the way. Jeez. How embarrassing. Can I eraser that away? Luckily. Francois says he's got those big dumb fins on it, in reference to Fugan. Ever wore a helmet before? Turns out it turns you into a bobblehead if you don't want to break your neck. That heavy nonsense on his helmet is not just impractical. It is rather large. Did the old Fugan have similar width to his helmet? I guess that's the inspiration for that choice. Pretty sure Artel's Fugan has a similar phalanges. Well, his are rather large and flat. It reminds me a little bit of the old Wraithsinger helmet. So there's probably more surface area on Fugans even still. So while Fugan leads his unit gains the benefit of cover from his helmet. It's thematic. It's thematic. So, like, Warhammer Community only previewed Fugan because of the leak, I'm assuming, because I believe this was leaked before it was shown on Warhammer Community. I think a friend sent it to me on Reddit. Or from a Reddit post, anyways. But it is weird we're seeing Fugan and not the Flaming Dragons. Flaming Dragon. We're seeing Fugan before Karandrus, but... Oh no, we've seen Karandrus, right? Have they? Let me see. Let me see now. Did GW reveal their Karandrus? Did they reveal him? I guess not. Not getting anything on the old image search. So if we take that to mean they have not revealed it, it is weird we're seeing a Phoenix Lord for an aspect which was not released before the Phoenix Lord for the aspect which has already been made available. Rather annoying. We need more data breaches. We need more leaks. These little wedges are also a similarly small detail that I think makes a difference when you pick them out, despite how tiny they are. It breaks up the shape rather interestingly. And for edge highlighting, I'll probably just do a dry brush kind of approach. Like, I think that's just easier, if we're being honest. Right, the barrel tips here have some nice edges that should lend themselves to such an approach, I would think. Francois says they totally forgot Karandras and Fugen was leaked. Yeah, they totally forgot. I think they just don't want to. I think they have it all planned out, honestly. And they'll only deviate if there's a leak. Because it's like, oh, well, let's just get the attention back on us, right? Might as well. Might as well control the narrative and tell everybody what's what. So I guess that means Eldar Codex will feature Karandras and Fugen. Would they do a third Phoenix Lord at the same time? I swear, if Osterman's on a 50, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm gonna be pissed, because mine's on a 40. Because Osterman's the big cheese, you know? Because he's the big cheese, I can see a world where they put him on a 50. Kind of like a Terminator Captain being on a 50 all of a sudden, right? Like if they made that choice, oh my god. You're gonna have to rebase my special little guy. Okay, let's put a heavy dowsing of Acolia green shade on our nameplates. Excuse me, guys. Must be allergy season. It's crazy. I'm getting assaulted. I'm getting assaulted by my own senses. I find the green wash over gold instantly adds a nice weathered, aged appearance. And also instantly makes the text more readable, which is great. And that's about as heavy as I would want it to be also. Perfect. Just perfect. Maybe we can pull a little bit of this away. That side's okay. Eric says green shade, like for a patina or tarnish effect. In a way, I wasn't exactly the intention. I just wanted to add a bit of definition to the gold without making it warmer. And I tried Coolio green shade on a whim, and I kind of liked the look. So it's not exactly what I would. I do think the effect paints are better for those effects. But I think this yields a similar, similar but not as good effect as it relates to aging. But for the purposes of adding definition without making it pop too much, because I don't want the nameplate to necessarily just distract. That's the word I'm looking for. I don't want these nameplates to distract from the models, so I wanted to keep the colors I used on them sort of in line with the bases. Yeah, we'll leave that like this. Cool. And while that dries, let's get some gray. Hopefully we can resurrect it. Oh, it lives! We'll see if it's suitable though for a bit of edge highlighting. I think it'll do. Just a kind of quick and dirty edge highlight. We're gonna need a little bit more gray. how much time do we have left here? Oh, we're about 1 hour in only. We'll probably go at most for 2 hours today, guys. So we're about halfway through. I think that should be adequate for an Astraeus hull-mounted weapon option. Cool. Look, the more and more models are going to the done pile. That I like to see. All right, the wash probably needs more time to dry. So for our other guys, I might add a small grass or shrub type feature on 1 or 2 in the squad. Not the lieutenant. He's got too much going on already. But sort of in the vein of this guy's base here, just a small little desert shrub, right? That's sort of what I'm thinking for this squad as well. Just to add a bit of variety as across the squad's bases. I find the right ratio for those kinds of features is sort of like the old heavy weapon or special weapon ratio in a squad. Maybe like 2 for 5, 2 for every 5 guys in a squad. You had a cool little unique basing element. But I want to be extra sparing or extra conservative as it relates to bushes in the desert, you know? So I got some tufts here. I'll probably cut this into maybe even 3. God, all these fibers are going all over the place. What are we going to do? And unfortunately, I seem to have misplaced the tweezers. Oh well. Eric Brandenburg says a burning tumbleweed. That is a good basing feature. I am quite jealous of the... Not jealous, well, kind of. When I think of the Sisters of Battle bases, some of them, I think it's the Retributor squad, maybe the Battle Sister squad as well. They have some nice burning slag basing details that I'm just like, oh, amazing. This looks so good. But you wouldn't want the exact same burning slag and smoke plume all over your army either. But on one model, very nice. Okay, we'll use a toothpick to depress the glue, and then we'll get some of the old reliable PVA. Eric says a power sword got too close and it just ignited. Yeah, I can see that. Certainly. I could certainly see it. Alright, so which of these four? So this is actually the unit. Probably... Okay, we'll give one to our company champion. I think maybe here might look good, or let me think about the composition a bit more. Yeah, we'll put one down right underneath this outcrop. That's not going to work. No! I'm just ruining this bush. Alright, we'll give one to this guy over here. Kind of prefer this Victrix Onager to have it as opposed to the other. Alright, we'll let that dry, and I'll flip off some of those fibers once the PVA is set. And then probably we have one more. Eric Brandenburg says a bucket list goal as an HVAC tech is to sell a wealthy 40k hobbyist their own personal paint booth, or at least a large stainless steel hood vent over their hobby desk. That's an interesting idea, and probably safer, especially if you're big into the airbrushing, right? Definitely want some form of apparatus to And how would you term it? Suck up all the vapors, all the paint vapors. Okay, so yeah, I guess I'll put these guys in the done tray. There's no more tasks for them. Alright, how is our wash looking? Our letters in the text are still a bit damp. Maybe I can wick some of that out of there, help speed things along. The next step will be to apply a dark wash over the background of the text anyways, so I don't care too much for the green going in there. Okay, so what to do? What to do? We got a contrast and a dry brush step last for those nameplates. There's going to be lots of downtime while that dries, so I have to busy myself with something. Oh, here's an example of awesome Sisters basing bits. Here's a sample Battle Sister I have on the table. Not that I'm painting it at the moment, those kinds of basing details are just awesome. There's probably like an STL pack somewhere. Someone's surely, some sculptor surely has made a flaming basing accessory kit, right? That would look pretty sweet. Alright, I have a side project I will work on here on stream. I don't think it's a big deal. It may, if it gets finished, it may be a surprise of sorts on the channel. But it's another Metal Gear Orc conversion. It's a Psycho Mantis Weird Boy. I've had him in progress like this for quite a while. But I was thinking maybe I'll finish him for the old Orktober. The Orktober surprise, as they say. So what are my orc skin colors? Sons of Horus green. Incubi darkness, and I think Ogren? That looks about right. Maybe we'll work with that. You know what? We gotta glue this holster back on first. This guy and his accursed holster. Well, let me catch up with you guys. What are the comings and goings of chat? The Ballad of Whoop-Ass Williams is taking a break, it seems. Safety, but profitable safety. The sandblasting tables are already a thing. The booth would not only vent the fumes to the outside, but also 100% prevent fumes from contaminating anything nearby. You can get one for like 100, 200. I see. See, this is a very technical discussion on particles versus fumes, it seems. And plastic glue on a painted model is risky business, that's for sure. If it's really problematic, I should just get some sprue glue and just chunk it on there. Wartforge, how's it going? How's it going? We're about halfway through today's hobby hang. Plucking away on the most of the to-do pile is done. Rimming some bases, nothing too fancy. But I do have some nameplates that are in the drying process. Or maybe they're about ready for the next step. Looks like it. Yeah, so I'm just going to take some custom Earthshade and douse it on the backdrop. I might have ended up using brown contrast for the others, but I think this is more than adequate. While fumes are gases that will need to be ventilated to make safe. I see the debate continues. I'm sure with our many minds we can get to the bottom of this. Yeah, that's sort of the look we're going for. Just a heavy backfill with a brown color. Alright, we'll let that cook for a bit and maybe we'll start painting that orc. Though I will need to look up some reference. Fredder, just noticed you have entered the stream. How's it going? Fredder says, if I was to get into the hobby, would there be a paint set of suggestion? I'm also a Salamanders fan, if that helps out. I've been looking at GW paint sets, but it seems to favor ultramarines. Now, Francois is on the case. Perfect. GW paints are adequate, but I find they are overpriced, and sometimes they're hit or miss depending on the color. Especially for things like metallics. And whites and yellows, I'd just go with other brands. But they got some nice paints. Some nice colors. Whoops. Hopefully that isn't a problem. Alrighty. I am quite fond of AK Paint. The AK Paint line. Their new formula is... I've dabbled with only a few dropper bottles of it, but I have to say I quite like the experience I've had with it, and a painter whose opinion I trust vouches for it. And he bought the whole set. And they have a nice matte finish, which I think always has a certain allure, ironically. Okay, so yeah, the green stuff work I did on this isn't the greatest. It's not the greatest. So really, we're working on this as sort of a filler. I don't know if I'll get it done for the end of October. Probably not. Maybe we'll put in a little bit of paint and save it for next October. How about that? How about that? The question is how much can you shore up a poor sculpting job with a good paint job? I think you can do quite a bit. Francois says, keep the learning curve cheap, get playing sooner. You can always repaint or touch up models later as your skill set improves. He says, Fredder, GW paint, in fact, most model paints don't like to stick to Krylon spray. It's too smooth. Apple barrel sticks no problem, and it takes washes really well. My suggestion is this. Yeah, if you have zero hobby painting experience, tabletop or otherwise, then it is a consideration just to keep things as cheap as possible, just to get some paint on some plastic and get a rep, so to speak, in the arc of like a hobbyist, right? Taking a project from start to completion, right? Because undoubtedly, no matter how much money you spend on your first set, if you continue, you'll just do a way better job for that first rep. But if your first project is something small like a kill team, I would only buy the colors you need. I wouldn't buy a whole paint set. That is a investment you make when you know you're in it for the long haul, and you figure you'll be buying paint pots here and there over time, and then you'll save in the long run. But just starting out, buying a whole paint set is not something I would recommend unless you know with confidence, like, yeah, this is something you want to do for a while. Patrick, welcome to the stream. I should probably glue this guy down, man. Really? P-Turbo, welcome to the stream. Good to see you. Nice, a jumping orc. A sneaky boy? Yes, he's actually a project I had in mind for like another Metal Gear orc, like a Psycho Mantis style weird boy. But he's been in the pile of shame for a while, just collecting dust. Although I'm rather annoyed I have, he's spinning like this. I need to... Oh, jeez. I see why I left him this way. Did I break him in two places or pin him all the way through? That's crazy. Or are these two separate pins? What is going on here? Look, we're doing a bit of discovery. If we break them, it's okay. Yeah, it's two separate pins. How lame. Ugh. Disappointed in my past self for this one. It was probably pinned in one position, then it broke. It's probably what happened. How are our nameplates? Still drying? Looks like it. Fredder does not play often. He's more on the side of the production of minis. Well, if you're into the artistry, look, I think... Here's a hot, spicy take. I think the painting side is more fun than the playing side. It could just me be... It could just me becoming disenfranchised with the whole state of play, so to speak, but... Yeah, I think hobbying is a pretty fun time. Jesus. What is up with this pin? Oh my god, I've glued myself and ripped the primer off. This is a disaster. Yeah. Well, it's not like he's far along, but that is... Look, I have become... Never mind. P-Turbo says, nice, I like projects like this. I finished my non-Primaris Alpha Legion Chapter Master, and now catching up on my Imperial Fist Gladiator. Oh, very cool. Love the Imperial Fists. Well, love to see the Imperial Fists getting love. Francois says, well, if you're just looking to produce art, then set aside a couple $100 extra because you'll need to buy palettes, mixing mediums, and 24 additional colors. Perhaps. Perhaps you will. Depends how deep you go. But you can go very deep. Alright, I'm going to do another coat of that wash. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? We're going to mix our own. We're going to mix our own little glazing medium here. We have the technology. We'll just use a glob. We're going to use scientific measurements, okay? 1 glob of Rhinox hide. And then we'll add two splurts of glazing medium. Uh-oh. Oh, that's a huge problem. Yeah, I made a huge mistake. A huge mistake. I thought, you know what, I'll leave this upside down because it always gets stuck at the bottom of this container. All the medium. I think I might have gummed up the works, so to speak. An Imperial Fist Gladiator. Yeah. The Gladiator is just so good. I was playing a game with the Firekeepers, you know, Space Marines, yesterday. Taking the old Repulsor Executioner for a spin, and I just can't help but cynically look at the rules. And just, you know, look at what's provided for the Repulsor Executioner and just say, like, oh, they don't want me to use this. They are trying to they want me to use something else. Francois says, with the 40k, my Lamenter Sergeant is almost done. But Apple is almost nothing. My dyslexia. Excuse me, my Lamenter Sergeant is almost nothing but apple barrel paints, by the way. Well, I think it looks good for apple barrel paints. It's not bad. It's not bad. I think it's a good proof of principle, really. With that, those two nameplates should be ready for a dry brush. And then they'll be donezo. P-Turbo says, see, I like the Repulsor and the Executioner for aesthetic of fitting my third company, Chunky Boys. Yeah, I don't mind the aesthetic at all. In fact, I've grown to quite like it over time. But when I look at the rule that you get to reroll the hit roll when firing at a target below half strength, the Executioner's weapons aren't typically what you want to be firing at something that's already been debilitated so drastically. Like, I'm trying to bring something off the table completely, and I need the efficiency to even get through the attack sequence, never mind target something that's already on its way out. Compared to the Gladiator Lancer, right, that just gets straight rerolls. I mean, they used to have the same Aquilon Optics rule. And then for whatever reason, the Executioner gets a worse version of a worse ability for the purpose. Yeah, I don't particularly like it. I can't help but come away feeling like it's like manipulative rules writing with regards to product acquisition or incentivization, let's say, unit incentivization. Freder says, been poking around for the last couple of weeks for what was in the box. I was tempted to get the Warhammer 40k introductory set. It seems okay. Just the boys in blue aren't green, you know? Yeah, Freder, you can paint the models on the box whatever color you want, really. That is the beauty of the Warhammers. You can totally do whatever you want, and then people can judge you for it accordingly. P-Turbo says, it's a finisher tank? Ugh, I guess so. So annoying. You give me the reroll hit rolls against anything that is above half strength instead. Like below half strength. And in the particular circumstance of my most previous game, my Executioner was in a shooting battle for like 2 rounds with a Ballistus Dreadnought, who was at half strength, and I couldn't get any rerolls because he's not below half strength. It's so lame. P-Turbo says, Repulsor with emergency embarkation is quite thematic in my third company. Have some aggressors or eradicators floating around and poof, back in the tank. Oh, I agree. The basic Repulsor, I quite like the ability they chose to give to it. Very cool. Very cool. Quite creative. It's fun when units interact with each other on the tabletop. Crazy. Crazy idea, right? It's like Linkfire. That's why Linkfire is so freaking cool. Okay, let's see what we can do about this. I feel like I'm gonna break this. Feels like it's gonna end terribly. Okay, maybe. We'll see. Disaster. It's a neat idea for a conversion, I think. But I think the paint job's gonna have to carry it, which is hard. It's hard to paint black color schemes, I find. Like black power armor. I suppose that's a self-report that I lean too much on hue and not value when it comes to painting. Seems like that's drying reasonably quickly. Which is great. Marcus the Geiger Counter. Welcome. Marcus says, I'm dying inside. I've got 40 plus firstborn Sternguard with special issue bolters. I miss the old kit's death. The old kit's Death Watch kit is still goat. Still goat, though. Well, you can still use your Sternguard as Sternguard, right? Slowly but surely. I suspect GW won't even drop Distinction in Primaris. It'll just be Space Marines again. How ironic. They'll just have their new model range, right? So I still think you can use your classic Firstborn Sternguard vets. And just play them as Sternguard. Same base size. More or less the same weapon options, right? Punctuation is overrated. Maybe. Maybe not. It helps. It helps. Call me crazy. Okay, we can use up some of the Steel Legion, this leftover paint, for these eye lenses, because they're going to be orange eventually, and I think Steel Legion probably makes sense as a decent base color. Well, we're not going to get a base color like that. Jeez, it's so thin. What's going on here? Ooh, the paint is so thin. Terrible. Francois says only 40. I have like 70 Death Watch with combo weapons. Wow. Way to one-up Marcus over here. Jeez. Jeez, Francois. Didn't know you were like that. Primaris sucks donkey balls. In part. I like aspects of the Primaris, but boy, does it feel like an awkward concept that was terribly handled. Terribly handled. Like, oh yeah, hey, why don't we try and sell to our customer base the idea that everything we got them to invest in is actually worse, the worst version of of what it is. All the Space Marine players, just tell them all, hey, those guys you thought were super aren't that super. They're not as super as these guys, okay? I wonder how they're going to react. I wonder how welcoming they're going to be to the concept. It feels very, it feels very lame. Let's put it that way. Let's keep it simple. Oh boy, we're coming up towards the end of the stream, people. Faster than I expected. Uh-oh. Okay, let's try and dry brush those nameplates. Ideally, I'd like to have that fully complete in the stream. So we're gonna get some off-white, as per usual. And I think mix it with a bit of gold. Just a bit. Just a bit. And that'll be our dry brush. P-Turbo says they should not have called it Primaris, but more like, hey, we found an STC or a portion of it. We can now upgrade our armor and weapon as long as the new weapon match the new armor. Keep people happy with their toys. Yeah, I agree. They should have just been newer scale. Rescaled, same units, you know. Same units, but instead, they've sort of forced into the lore this like this super specialization in unit types, which in a way, like it allows GW to sell more products because now you have incursors and you have incinerators and inceptors and infiltrators and you have one product for each gimmick you want to have Space Marines do. But from a lore point of view, it kind of takes away their potency when you need to have Space Marines hyper specialize to be competent, rather than before they were framed as being competent enough all the time, and they're so competent they're able to be versatile with their tactical squad, right? With their scout squad, right? You could have had one Phobos unit, right? That would serve as the new type of scout, right? And you can still have scouts too. I'm not saying you can't have scouts anymore, but you just needed one Phobos unit, not 3 across Reavers, Infiltrators, and Incursors. Okay, so let's get some gold on the pallet. It's still alive, which is great. And I'll begin the dry brushing process. Is it dry enough? Maybe not. Oh no. What are we going to do about this? We'll see. Can we get away with it? Let's try the other guy. Let us try. Just trying to bump up the readability a bit, so it's nothing fancy. Hey, not bad, I think. Not bad at all. I thought maybe I'd have to do another pass of just off-white, but I think that'll do. I think we can call that good enough. That'll do. That will do. Look at this. Mission accomplished. We got all of our to-dos done. All these guys. Perfect. Alrighty then, fellow Grimdark enjoyers. Let me catch up on chat before I do my outro. Shouldn't just ignore you guys, right? Let's see here. Francois talking about paint, and that Flaming Brazier looks great, man. Oh, thank you. Yes, I'm really happy with how the Brazier banner turned out. I think it's rather neat. Worthy of the chapter ancient. Gotta have a ballin' banner, man. Anyways, guys, thanks to everyone who tuned in and shared in the hobby camaraderie with me this evening. And thanks to everyone who chatted away and liked, commented, and subscribed and all that other good algorithm stuff. Unfortunately, no stream tomorrow. I have prior engagements. So probably something... You can expect another stream later this week. I don't even want to throw out a date or an expected time, but I'll probably do another stream before the week's end. And with that, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks again for watching.